Hello guys, welcome to Two Latin Brothers podcast, also known as T.L.B.P. I'm Victor.
And I'm Adrian.
And this is episode 24. Here we go. And so I have...
Are you sure? Did you check?
No.
Neither did I.
No, I just knew because I remembered from last week what I had to say.
Okay, because I didn't actually check. I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
But I whatever. Just keep going.
Well, you know what? Today it's my guest, so I brought my guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
My name's Youssef.
There you go.
I am Victor's friend. We both go to the same high school.
That like 10 seconds. Like we go to the.
We go to the same high school.
It's like, wait, do we go to the same high school?
Yeah.
No, just joking.
It's like a friend of me. He's like, how did we? We met. But like I have a friend who when she was on the podcast, it was really fun. She was like, you know what? We met at one point. That's what matters. Like that's just at one point. Like that's
forgot, but like.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, so I'm going to give the rundown real quick before we jump into this. So whenever one of us brings a guest to the table or whoever it is, vice versa, me or Victor, in this case, Victor brought a guest. So to explain to the audience, to give context. So when Victor brings in a guest, I'll ask them 3 questions or maybe more. Who knows if we have time, whatever. But we do this more like so we get to know each other's friends better because apparently we don't do enough bonding. But that's a whole other thing. We're not going to get into that right now. But that's one of the things that we do. So since you're Victor's guest, I'm going to ask you a question. And this is the staple question that we always ask because it's the only really good question that has lots of content. Mm-hmm. How did you two meet?
Well, I met, it was kind of an, awkward kind of thing because the way I remember it, I met Victor the same way I met most people, when I was in middle school. I asked him where he came from.
Yeah. That was literally his go-to approach. Where are you from?
I would just see someone and I would ask them where they're from. So
wait, so you're telling me that your go-to how to make a friend was, where are you from?
Yeah.
Where are you from? Do you know the capital of the country you live in?
No, it's like, okay, look, here's the thing. For context, okay, so, Youssef is a very big geography buff, shall we say, where he knows a lot about every country and places I didn't even know existed apparently, but that's a whole other thing because, I live in Canada.
Also very good at politics.
Yes, we're not going to get into that though. Like, I don't want to, there are just so many things in this world that are just, it's like treading water, but in the opposite direction. You're fighting the current, but the current just keep coming at you. That's what politics is like. You know why? Because you're like, oh, I agree with him, and this other guy, I don't like that, man. That's right. I don't like how I feel about it. That just like, that's politics the entire time. And I just, y'all do you, I'll do me. Let's just leave it at that.
I mean, I like to talk about politics because it's like politics is like the pinnacle of free speech because
the pinnacle of free speech.
Yeah, because so many people have so many different opinions, and when you get people to talk about those differences instead of just killing each other for those differences, I think that's good. I think that
you'd rather have debates.
I'd rather have
debates
than just killing you. Oh, you disagree with me? Then die. That's not how we should do things.
I mean, realistically though, nowadays politics has gone there. Before politics, it's like, yo man, the king, he said it. It was written in stone, and we moved on. No, you didn't like them. He had you assassinated right in front of him. He didn't care.
No, not assassinated. Hang.
Beheaded. Just publicly
in front of the entire town.
Imagine nowadays, like what that would be like. Just like the governor of a country just walking around like a gun in his on his belt.
It's like you broke the law. You jaywalked. Die.
Yeah, just die.
No, imagine what would that be like? And like realistically, if we still lived in a world like that, I'd be so scared to walk out my door.
It'd be like, I can't jaywalk. Don't jaywalk. Even though you're gonna miss your bus, don't do it.
That's like, what is it like? Is it Thailand where you can go to prison for life for spitting on the sidewalk or something?
I mean,
you know how many times I've done that?
That's like an actual thing, and it's crazy because
what if I spit in the prison?
No,
does that mean death?
One of those times. Look, especially in the summer, I see a mosquito, and in the back of my head, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like my mouth, like I just swallowed a mosquito. Yeah. Then what? I need to spit it out. I'm not gonna swallow a mosquito.
No, here's the thing. Okay, look. So, you guys actually have a teacher who got a call from a student who got arrested for this in Thailand. And it was, I'll tell you later, but it was really funny how he was like, when I get a call from Thailand, he's like, and to tell me that this guy was in prison because he spit on his. And I was like, well, you're on your own. He's like, but I need help. Like, what? So he's like, so he spent the next little bit talking about it, but it was funny because, you know, like, you never believe these kinds of stories until they actually happen. You're like, oh man, this got real. It's like in, like, I think it's in South Carolina. If you hit a car and you fall on it, you have to pay for damages.
But if you get hit and don't fall in the car, you don't have to pay for damages.
If you
So
get hit by
make
a
sure
car-
you get hit and don't fall, so that way they have to pay for your damages.
Actually, when we're talking about cars, so you know how you see some dash cam videos on the internet where there's like these near death collisions and like these car accidents caught on camera?
Yeah, and they get
a lot of them come from Russia because in Russia they've got some weird laws. Like if you jump in front of a car and you accuse them of running you over and they can't defend themselves, then they have to pay. They have to, they have to pay for it. Yeah, they're the ones who get in trouble. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. So that's why people in Russia are always putting dash cams on their cars because they're paranoid that.
And that's why there's so much film.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but
So-
it's
so
like
much-
here, but there's here in Ontario. There's a place where there's like dash cam footage of this guy like just running off like the highway, but like from the first lane like all the way across all 4 lanes, and he just like rams over this sign, and it went like viral for like a little bit. And I remember how like I'm like yo that's right here, and my friend's like what? Because he was showing me the video. I'm like he's like on his phone like yo man that's our highway. He's like what? I'm like yeah, like look at the street at the intersection to get off like the way off, like that's right here. And he's like oh my gosh you're right. And then there's like this other thing. A friend of mine from Toronto, he sent me this clip of like all these dogs on like these like little it went viral in Toronto. They're like driving on the highway and these puppies are running across the highway and people are like stopping trying to pick them up. And he's like yo man, and then I'm like what? He's like you see that intersection? I'm like yeah, I live off that intersection. I was like what is this world where we live in where like people are like, you know, like I live off this, like it's just, I think it's funny though because like there's so much dash cam footage.
Like cause a whole traffic jam because a turtle's trying to cross the road.
Yeah, like, but they're like those crazy
and that goes
ones.
viral on you.
You see like those crazy ones are like planes, like those like people like they're driving on like the highway or whatever and they have to like cross like a little river or whatever. And this plane just comes like angling down. You're just like, I never heard of that plane. I wonder if everyone's alright. You know, like, and the guy's driving and all you see is this plane just like drive right in front of him and crash into like the water. And you're just like, wow, that guy tried to pull a Sully. And like, only Sully pull off a Sully. I'm sorry. But like,
it's like it's like goes on the news later. There was no actual problem with the airplane. We just wanted to reenact the Sully movie.
that actually happened though.
Yeah, no.
That wasn't like actually. I think it's crazy though that actually even occurred. Like realistically, like the chances of that.
The
are
pilot though, Sully.
I mean, he was
skilled pilot.
No, I mean the fact that he even thought of that idea. It's like where are we gonna put the plane?
Great movie, great story. Check it out. Just saying.
Tom Hanks. Anyway, so we never actually got to how you met Victor.
Yeah. So I asked him where he was from. Mm-hmm. And
my first reaction was like, "Really? That's how you're gonna
really? Like, I don't know you yet. Why are you asking me this?" So,
I'm like, that's such a personal question. Like, at least ask what my name is.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were gonna be like, I'm from here. Like, I'm from right here.
I mean, I don't look back at my middle school years, you know, with I don't look back with a smile. I look back with like
it's like that's great.
Yeah, that feeling. So yeah, I don't tend to think well about how I managed myself in middle school.
I don't think anybody managed themselves well. I mean,
I managed myself.
I mean, I could have managed myself better.
Okay, look, here's the thing. Okay, look, when I was in middle school, I was that guy who like didn't care about literally anything. Like it got to, I remember I had a teacher tell me, you know, you should probably go into like the trades or something because you don't really care about it. And I was like, I remember we went on this trip to this like convention thing where like they were all the trade jobs, and it was really funny because
they invited you and you weren't even a part of that class.
No, yeah, no. They invited me, and it was like there was like 12 of us who went from the school, and I kid you not, it was all the kids who weren't going anywhere in school, and it was really funny because I've run into a few of them now, and I'm like, so what are you doing? They're like, oh, I have a kid now, and I'm working at like corner store, and it's like, and then they're like, they look at me like, so what are you up to? You know, hoping that my story is tragically worse worse than theirs. And I'm like, oh, I'm in college, and they're like, you're in college? Like, and I had this one guy though. He was the best. He was like, but you weren't supposed to go anywhere. I was like, what? Like, his reaction was just golden, and I was like, okay, well, I'm somewhere now. I'm somebody. I'm trying to be. Some more than you can say. Like, I also had there are just like crazy stuff like that, but like a lot of people, because of my attitude and how like I was lazy and like unproductive in high school and in elementary school and also they all got like this like biased opinion. Like I remember that it got to a point where I had a teacher tell me, hey, if you don't get your act together, you're not gonna graduate high school. And I was like, say what now? Like that can happen? And they're like, yeah, we can fail you and you won't go on. I was like, but I got accepted already. Here's my letter. and he almost did it. Like no joke, he almost did. And I remember how when the other funny thing too is he thought I was in grade 11 because half that class was grade 11s and the other half was grade 12s. But he thought I was one of the grade 11s. And then when he found out I was actually in grade 12, he's like, yo man, on like real talk, if I knew, I would have passed you regardless. He's like, if I knew. And then I was like, wait, what are you saying? He's like, I didn't know. No, like you didn't know I was it's a 12 right next to my name. How do you not see that? Because you know, like in the attendance list, it's like your name, and then it says what grade you're in, and then it says like your student number.
No, it says your age, and then it says your student number, and then it says the date, and then it also gives a little page code thing.
Okay, clearly they changed it. Anyway, but when I was in school, they put you like your full name, then or like your preferred name, and then they put like your grade, and then they put your student number, and then your age.
Wait, so they had the preferred name thingy?
Yeah, because like
they had the preferred pronoun thing?
No. It's because like some kids like they're like I remember this girl. Her name was like magnificent with like all these other random letters at the end of it, and it was just like the translation from where she was from. Like so when you translate,
like magnificent.
Yeah. So
magnificent butterfly.
So she when she got to school, her preferred name was Meg, so we all called her that.
Mag?
Yeah, Mag.
Like you're loading up a weapon.
Yeah, but because it was like,
hey, I need another Mag.
No, but anyway, but because imagine saying magnificent, whatever in the world it was, right? So
magnificent.
And then there are those kids that like, you know, sorry to say this, but like there are some names that I can't like I don't even know how to start pronouncing, or even like there are just some names that I almost pity. You know, like there are those names like did your parents not like you? Like, you know, like there are those things, and I always love hearing like names that like have like these crazy like. There was this girl. Her name was in Spanish it means frog, but in her language it's Rana, right? So she goes
Rana
or whatever. Yeah, it's like you gotta roll the R in Spanish, but that's not the point. Rana. Anyway, but
you can do it. You should be able to do it.
Can I finish telling the story?
Keep
anyway,
going.
So
go ahead.
No, so she was telling me how like it meant like sunrise or like the sunset or something to do with
it was
the
something
sun.
beautiful.
Yeah, it was like this really beautiful scenic type thing. And I was like, wow, we butchered your name in Spanish. Like, we just demolished it. And she's just like, wow. I'm like, type it in Google and see what happens. And she's like, why am I getting all these pictures of frogs? I'm like, because that's what it means in Spanish. She's like, oh, you horrible people. But like, it was like one of those like things. There was just also this other time where, okay, look, there are just, there are these moments in my life where I don't even know how to feel because, so my first day in this college, I sit down. It's like orientation day. I sit down and the guy sitting next to me, you know, we're talking and like, yo, it's great. I never asked his name. So I'm probably never going to see him again. There's like 300 of us in this room. The probability of me sitting next to him again is like super slim. It's like 3%. Anyway, so, the guy at the front there decides to go through the attendance list. All 350 of us. And then he gets to a point where he goes, carpeta. And in carpeta in Spanish means carpet. Okay. And I'm like, oh, that's someone's name? And the guy next to me goes, here. I'm like, oh, like trying not to laugh. You know, like, oh my, oh, this is real. It's like a joke. I had this like whole moment like, oh, I feel so, oh my God. Don't laugh. Stay serious, man.
He's
Stay
like,
serious.
you just became friends with this guy.
No, it's like, don't laugh. Like I had this whole moment of like, you know, like trying not to die of laughter. And then I'm like, man, like, and I never got around to, I couldn't even look at him after that. I was like, every time
he's like, hey man, you're like, I gotta turn away.
No, it's like,
floor.
I'm like, I got a class right now. I'll talk to you next time I'll see when I see you. But like,
it's like next time, 4 years later. Hey man, we never hang out anymore. It's like,
we never did.
We never did.
But no, I couldn't look him in the eye anymore after that. I was like, it's like, how does this happen? Like, and I'm like, I'm sure it has some like wicked meaning in where he's from, but like, it's just like, wow, you know, it's one of those like things where like it really hits you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I should probably ask the next question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, so we already know that you're into politics and into geography and all that stuff, but what are your other like interests and stuff?
History,
like
definitely.
Hobbies and stuff like history.
Well, obviously, if he goes a lot into countries, he's gonna learn some history.
Yeah, I'm more of history than geography, honestly. I also, another thing I like to do, I like shooting people in the form of airsoft. I'm not gonna go around
like
shooting.
I'm just like, Youssef, this is a PG kind of PG-13 kind of thing.
No, we do PG. We don't even do PG-13.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make family-friendly content.
We want this podcast to be something you can listen to with your parents walking around and not wondering, like, what are you listening to?
You know, like, I want your parents to be like, yo, shut that off. That sounds stupid. Saying even, like, I had this like, what is it? We had like this, a friend of ours, she was like, I was listening to it, like, in the car, like my family, I'm like, you were listening to this in the car with your family? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's like, I gotta be careful of what I say.
No. It's more like, I was like, you mean your whole family knows what I sound like now? She goes, yeah. And like she didn't realize, like,
it's like your face is just like jaw dropping.
I was just like, why would you do that? She's like, why not? And like, I was like, okay, you don't forget. Whatever, that's great. You know, like, you did your part, and like, what is one of our sister's friends do? She listens to like every episode. Like, when she's like, you know, she's like, I gotta start listening to your podcast. I'm like, dude, she asked, and I hadn't even heard the episode yet. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, she's asking me stuff about the podcast. I hadn't even listened to the episode. And I was like, wow.
That's funny because she doesn't even listen to it herself.
Yeah, I was like,
she's asking questions just to make more conversation. She doesn't even actually listen to them.
It was funny, but
she does.
But
she doesn't.
I don't know. Anyway, so history, geography, and politics. That's it. That's all you do? You just spend your time reading this stuff?
I have 3 younger brothers, so yeah, I like to play fight with them. That's just, you know, like, it passes the time.
It's a great pastime.
It's a great pastime.
I get to beat up my siblings.
Hey, I don't actually beat them up, you know, just for the record.
Just pin them. That's
all I do.
Look. So, well, I was gonna say, I don't know where I was going with that.
So no other hobbies besides history, politics, and geography.
And airsoft as well, yeah.
And airsoft.
I like to travel. I traveled alone for the winter break for the first time. That was pretty fun for me. Pretty exciting. I didn't like, everybody asked me if I was nervous or not. I didn't quite get it. I wasn't nervous at all.
It's because, okay, look, you have to understand, like, there are people who have never left this country. Like, they've never even left this city. Like, I had a friend who she had, when I was in high school. I think it was when I was in high school. I don't know anymore.
She hadn't gone past Cornwall.
No. Thanks for giving them context now. Gonna have to edit that out.
Well, what do you mean? Cornwall's just like near, like, the borders of the U.S.
No, okay, look.
I know places. Want me to name a bunch of other places along the borders?
Okay, can you stop? Like, I'm gonna finish telling the story now. Okay. If that's okay with you. Ahead. Okay, no, so she had never left this place, right? Mm-hmm. So, or the country, right? And I remember she became an exchange student to France or something like that. Mm-hmm. She was having a heart attack. She's like, I don't know. I feel bad. Like, I've never been anywhere. Like, I'm gonna go. I'm like, why are you freaking out? Like, you're still on Earth.
It's like going to the new corner store.
No, I'm like, you're still on Earth, and it's like, I'm like. And to be frank with you, it's like going to Quebec. I'm like, she's going somewhere. Everybody speak French. I mean, what's the big deal? Right? So she was freaking out. I'm like, you should probably go to Quebec City before anything. And it's just like, but that's like 7. I'm like, I don't care how far it is. But it was really funny because she had like this, like she had never left Canada. And I was like, wow, it's like, there are really people who have never left this country. And like, even now, like there are people who have never left, where we are. And, or like the city or the town or wherever, like they grow up there and they just stay there. Just never leave. Like that's the existence of every, like, I remember, I met this person who she was telling me how, she went to this place in Africa, in this little town, and she says, so it's like this little village. Really, she's like in the middle of nowhere. She's like, no Wi-Fi, no electricity, no running water. Like, you know, like, so the Middle Ages are like, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so
you, instead of traveling to another country, you traveled back in time.
Basically.
I remember in high school, this girl, we were talking about, like, you know how the hours change here? Like, and she was saying how, like, if you go back in time, no, if you go to a different time zone, you turn into a baby. And we're like, wait, what? Like, if you fly backwards, so, like, to a different time, you turn to, and this, I remember our music teacher was there at the time. He was just like, I don't even, like, you know, it's like, I don't even know. And he literally just walked out of the class. He just walked out of the class. Like, he didn't know how to react. It's just like, how are you
it's like, I'm losing brain cells just sitting here.
It's like, I remember he's like, you're contagious. It has to be. Like, but, and then, like, it was just so funny. And then, the fact that, like, she thought, like, if you'd fly, like, in the direction of the way the earth was moving, you'd like become younger. Like, you know, like, people, like, every time they get to, like, their 90s, they just start swirling around. Or, like, you just jump on a jet, you know,
just
go around the
backwards.
earth a couple of hundred,
going the opposite direction,
going back, like, I don't know, like, about 50 years. See, you're 73, right? You go back 50 years, you're now 43. I mean, bam, you know. Problem solved. I'm young again.
Yeah, bro.
You know,
that'd
like,
be nice, but now flying back.
Flying back to your time.
Yeah, whoa. What are you gonna do now?
You're just stranded back when you're 43.
Well, couldn't you just, like, fly back? Because you're not actually... Well, you're traveling in time, but you're not really traveling time. You could, like, just fly
You're traveling,
to your location.
quote-unquote, in time.
Is this, like, my friend from Australia?
Or is it just
like,
the time in the plane that changes? Because if it was just the time in the plane...
Well, it's the same day. It's just a different time of the day.
Not really, because in Japan or in Australia right now, they're in the next day.
They're already
the next day. It's like, have you seen that meme on Facebook? Why didn't Australia warn us about 9/11?
Yeah,
they're on the day before.
Oh my god, they weren't on it too.
It's
like they knew. Why didn't they tell us?
I was like, I have a friend. She's from Australia. She's like, these idiots. They don't know how time works. She's like, just because we're in the future doesn't mean we're actually in the future. It's really funny though, because our running joke is, I'm like, so how's the future? She's like, it's okay. I'm like, how's the past going? And then she's like, wait, I already know. Don't tell me.
Actually, I spent New Year's Eve, like New Year's, I spent it abroad. I was on the other side of the Atlantic when I was traveling. So it was New Year's Eve for me when you guys were having, like, it turned to New Year's for me, and it was still the afternoon for, like, the end of 2018. So I spent, like, 7 more hours of 2018 than you guys did. So, yeah, I got into 2019 earlier.
So you lost 7 hours of 2018.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
You'll never get those hours back.
Yeah, it's gone.
You'll never get those back. You lost the game,
gone, you know?
But yet he still lived the same amount of life. Confusing.
Oh my god.
Why? Who invented this time? Why would we do this to him?
Oh my God.
I had a friend who but like it's always crazy how, like, to think about it, because I also had a friend from Japan. He flew back for Christmas, for the holidays, to be with his family, because at the time we were in high school, he was an international student. But it's like, I think it's like over 12-hour time difference, like something like 16 or 17 hours time difference. So he flies back to Japan, and he comes back, and he's like, the whole time he was there, he was jet lagged because it's only 2 weeks, right? So it's like jet lag, comes back, and now he's even more jet lagged because his body had just started getting used to being there. Now he's back, so he's like all screwed up, and he's like, oh, my body doesn't know how to feel.
He's like, it's sun out. He's like, I'm so tired.
We're all like, why would you do this to yourself? And he's like, I have no idea. Like, it was so funny. And I remember the following year, he didn't go back. He's like, forget this.
Screw that.
He's like, this is just horrible. But I remember for the summertime, he would go back. And I remember this one time, he flew back, and he says that he never truly got used to the cycle. He's like, so I would just stay up all night. He's like, and I'm like, oh, what? And he's like, stay up all night. Like, he's like, I would stay up all night for like a full month. I'm like, that's insane. He's like, and I just sleep the whole day. He's like, it'd be really funny because I'd go to bed. He's like, at like 10 a.m. He's like, and I wake up at like 4 in the afternoon. He's like, I get like 7 hours of sleep. So I get back up and be like, hey, what up, guys? And then be like, so go hang out with my friends. He's like, that's what I was doing. And I'm like, that's insane. But he's gone all over, like, a lot. He's traveled a lot. But again, his parents are like super loaded, so he can do that. But yeah. Meanwhile, I'm stuck here in Canada, and he's been like everywhere. But yeah, no, it was really funny. Should I just move on to the next question?
Next question.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So from what I've gathered, you tend to know a lot of stuff about.
You want to quiz him, don't you?
No,
want to.
no. I was just gonna ask how he feels about how he felt about the whole North Korea thing when it happened, because it's still kind of like. We're not really talking about, but it's still kind of like lingering.
It's like we haven't forgot about it.
Like it's still kind of there.
Like you bring it back up, we're gonna go crazy.
Like I just want everybody to know it's 2017. We're not stuck in 2018. It's 2017. I just want everybody to know. I know this is last year's problem, but let's be real. It's probably gonna happen again anyway.
Well, see, everybody is getting scared of oh no, what is going to happen if North Korea launches nukes?
Okay, look, here's the biggest concern. Well, I mean, not for everybody else, but for America. Mm-hmm. The Americans' biggest concern was that if there were to break out a war over this, right? They wouldn't end up on top. That as the superpower of the world, because currently they're considered the superpower of the world currently in that aspect. But the big economic, I mean, in that aspect, they got the most firepower. They got all this, they got all that. I mean, whatever. That's great. I mean, there are neighbors down south. We respect them. They come to our aid whenever we ask for it. So it's nice. It's a great relationship. They take all our money and water and oil, but I mean, whatever.
Well, actually, I can't remember. In grade 6, there were my teacher was talking to us how we sell water to America, and then they sell it back to us. It's like they sell it back to us, and then we buy it, and it says water from America, but then you search how the water travels, and it's like from Canada to America, from America to Canada.
Yeah.
Well, that's economies, man. But
also all our oil we send it to them because they have all the refineries, and then I'm like the other day I was having this conversation with someone, and I'm like, why don't we just make our own refinery? And then we had this whole moment of like, wait, you're right, why haven't we done that? What are we doing?
Yeah, right now our oil it's stuck in tar sands, right? So it's mixed, so we need to refine it.
Yeah.
And that makes our only trade partner in terms of oil the United States.
Yeah.
So they can push us around when it comes to the price because they know that they're our only...
Well, it affects our economy a lot, but and especially our dollar. The dollar always gets tackled because of that kind of issue. But the other thing too is our wood, our lumber. Mm-hmm. Sends so much of that stuff that way. Yeah. Also our steel, just insane amounts of steel that way. It's insane. And it's crazy too. The province we're in Ontario is most of the Earth's uranium is. Wait, this is where it gets really interesting. It's like, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me we're sitting on an atomic bomb? We're just sitting out. We're just so we're not going to use it. We're just going to leave it there. Don't want to touch it. With the whole area, it's sectioned off, of course. But it's I think that's crazy how it's just
somebody sneaks in there.
No,
I want some uranium.
No, man, but we have a lot of nuclear reactors and stuff because
it's actually pretty.
That's what they mostly use it for. Whenever one of the cores gets old, they just go in, dig some out, salt back in. That's what they do. But that's how most of Canada's energy is created. The only issue we're running into is nuclear waste. Which tends to be the biggest problem. What is it? There was a summit a while ago that the United Nations had where they were going to put all of the nuclear waste in one spot, all of Earth's nuclear waste in one spot. The only problem with that is that they're no one could ever go there. So once we dump it all there, we can just never go there again. So then what do we do when we get a new batch? We'll just we'll just drone fly it in and just leave the drone there. Just drone it.
Just crash it in there.
Yeah, that was the idea. And I'm but then the problem was, where do we put it? No one wants that, right? And so what, and then
if you put it in the middle of the ocean, contaminates all the water.
It kills everything in the water.
Exactly.
You can't do that. That's already an ongoing issue. There's so much trash in the water. Just an absurd amounts of trash in our water. Mm-hmm. Not in our water specifically, but on Earth's water, in the oceans and stuff. It's crazy. There are these crazy videos that they show they have this, there's this video on Facebook that was going around where they're this guy was pumping air into a fish's mouth to make the fish throw up, and the fish throws up. All these chunks of plastic bags and all this just junk comes out of his mouth. I'm oh my gosh, it's horrible. That's actually horrible. I'm and then so he dumps the fish back in the water, and then he grabs another one and he starts the whole process again. He did that for the video is 20 minutes, and in those 20 minutes he only frees, I don't know, some 12 to 15 fish. And I'm that's absurd. like that someone does that for a living. You know, having to like pump fish's stomach to take all the trash out. Like, I'm like, that's absurd. That shouldn't even be a problem. Like, we just need to figure this out. And now there's like this whole thing with China releasing, like, you know how like they banned all these chemicals, like, and then the Earth was like, oh yeah, we got you. No worries. They just didn't care this entire time.
Yeah,
they just didn't care.
Our government, the Canadian government, they want to put in a carbon tax.
Yeah.
No matter the solution, even if Canada and the United States, even the United States and Canada combined, they cut carbon emissions to zero. That still leaves Europe, China, India. China and India are the
worst.
Yeah, they are the worst at polluting the air.
Yeah.
So,
well, like I didn't notice Canada all on its own, because we have so many trees here. Canada all on its own, I think it's like, it used to be 50 or even more, but now it's like, it's somewhere like, I think like 40% of Earth's air yearly is cleaned just because of all the trees we have here. I'm like, yeah. There's even a comedian, what's his name, Gabriel Iglesias. He has this bit where he came to Toronto. And he's like, well, you guys can breathe up here. You know, I'm from LA. He's like, I came up here, I took in a breath, and he's like, yo, I could do math now. And I was like, this guy. I was like, the world we live in, where he's like, yo, man, the air's so fresh up here. I was like, that's because there's like nobody here. Like, literally, like nobody here. We're only like 35,000.
Well, like British Columbia alone, it's just produces so much.
Well, like, no, we're like 35 million people. Like, that's it. Do you know what that is? That's literally the capital city of Mexico. That's like the entire population. Just the capital city.
Tokyo has as much. Yeah. Tokyo, Mexico City. Yeah, they have just as many people as our entire country.
Just in their capital cities.
Yeah.
Like what is it? My friend, he was telling me, he's from Japan. He's like, you know Tokyo? I'm like, yeah. It's like, if you start driving out of Tokyo, you'd enter another city, but never leave the city. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. There's just so many buildings. It's like, you drive, and all of a sudden there's a sign that says you're in a new city. Like, but I never left the city. That's how many buildings there are. He's like, it's
so close together.
Yeah, he's like, it's so absurd, and like, he's like, but you know, that's what it is. And I'm like, but like, meanwhile, Japan, like, they're pretty good with that. They're the ones who really push for they did the whole NATO thing. They're the ones really pushing that. And Canada right now the problem with Canada is that we live in a cold country, so we need heat. Heat creates a carbon footprint because it gets so dang cold here. Like that's our biggest issue. Like, what is it? And there's like some bylaw that says in Ontario anyway, that we have to have every household in the winter has to be at least 16 degrees Celsius. So when it's minus 40 outside, you know how hard it is to keep 16 degrees Celsius in every household in Ontario?
Yeah.
Like, that's still absurd, right, to think about? Like, and then it's like, and then everyone's mad at us that our carbon emissions are going down. I'm like, well, have you spent a winter here? Just try it. Just attempt it, please. You know what it's like, at least. Like, just try it, please. Just give it one try. Like, that's the other issue. But I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
Getting back to the main question, how did you feel about the whole North Korea thing?
North Korea, I don't think, honestly, they're playing the cards that they can in this geopolitical game, I guess. Because North Korea, they see what happens to Iraq. You know what happened to Iraq, right?
Yeah.
There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Yeah.
Even though they invaded Iraq.
Yeah.
And in Libya as well, Gaddafi, they deposed him. So they see the nuclear option as a deterrent. I believe that they won't act on it unless they are directly invaded. But they'll go around boasting that they have a nuclear weapon as much as they want because it's a great tool, you know? So I don't think they're gonna end up using it. I think it's all, just talk because North Korea wouldn't sacrifice everything because for every nuke that...
Well, like, America's already technically invaded North Korea. Technically.
How would you... How do you mean that?
Like, because, and there's a whole war thing, and then on South Korea.
North and South Korea?
When the whole thing... And then Americans showed up. They helped South. They almost got all the way to the top. See, if that would have happened... It would have just been South Korea. Like, the whole country would have been South Korea. This whole problem would have been solved years ago.
Probably would have just called it Korea.
Their names are not North Korea. Their names are North and South.
That was the original idea, right? And then some guy shows up like, no, we gotta let them be sovereign. We're like, well, what are you talking about? These people are suffering. What are you talking about sovereignty right now?
I mean... South Korea, their actual name is Republic of Korea.
Yeah,
and North Korea is Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Yes, I know.
So the thing is, it wasn't just a one-way street where the United States got involved. the Soviet Union, when it was still a thing, they established North Korea, and the U.S. established South Korea.
Well, Russia is the one who buys most of their product and sending product.
Well, nowadays it's China. It used to be Russia.
But Russia was their main supporter.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
But now, because China's also a communist country.
Yeah.
They're
communist, name only, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's in that, like, random, like, you know, like, it's almost, I feel like one day China will become, a non-communist. I mean, like, it's getting there. You know, it's getting there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix because they've got a somewhat free market economy going for them.
Yeah.
And it's doing really well for them because...
Well, now they're the economic superpower.
Yeah,
everybody owes them.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Especially in, for example, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
They built a port. They made a trade deal, all right?
Yeah.
And Sri Lanka was in debt. So when Sri Lanka told China that they couldn't repay the debt, China took the port, and now it's a Chinese naval base, which adds them another strategic point on the map where they can, you know...
Yeah, that's just, the same thing happened in Venezuela. You know, China and Russia both.
Yeah.
They started dumping all this money in there. They built all these, like, places and oil refineries, all stuff like. And now that Venezuela's in this, like, crisis, this really bad crisis, it's gone out of hand. It's just way out of hand at this point. And China and Russia are like, no, we support that guy. And we're like, what are you doing? Why are you getting involved? Why you gotta be like that? Just let him be nice, man. Like, why can't we all just be nice?
I mean, it's the same thing with Cuba.
Yeah,
Cuba.
Oh, yeah. Well, Cuba's slowly, you know.
I mean, you see how long Fidel Castro reigned for.
Yeah.
The USSR really needed that Cuba to be there as a counterweight because if you looked at the Soviet Union and NATO, Soviet Union is basically just encircled. Back then, it was just encircled by NATO on all sides. And if they had Cuba, which is just like 90 kilometers from Florida, that would be just terrifying for the United States.
Yeah.
And the USSR took advantage of that, and that's why they backed Castro, and that's why he stayed there for so long.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like some of the things that happened. Well, like also like after the Second World War, right? Like so much stuff. Like I like how the world attempted to get back together to prevent future world wars. That's why we invented the United Nations. But like how do I put it? It's helped and kind of not helped at the same. Like it's got like that polar, like we're helping, but we're not really helping. You know, like we're not killing people, but we're actually killing people. You know, like
But the thing is, I don't think the UN alone is what started this new era of peace. You know, after World War II. I think it's more the nuclear weapons. Yeah. It's just that thing. You want to do something, but then again, there's just this possibility where everything can go wrong and humanity can just end.
Yeah.
So that keeps a lot of, leaders and, countries from doing the wrong thing. And aside from all these wars that are all basically just small conflicts or civil wars, the world has been at peace for quite a long time. And I think that's thanks to nuclear weapons. It's just, it's the fear of nuclear weapons.
Yeah, well, it's the other issue too is like, how do I put it? Like, America, essentially. The U.S. they dabble in everything, man. This one, like, when the whole Second World War happened and the whole thing with Japan happened, the biggest issue they had was, like, they couldn't look like conquerors, but they were technically conquering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was like the biggest dilemma. Like we can't look like conquerors, but we're totally conquering, right? Like that was like the biggest thing. So, having to like help Japan set up its like government, essentially, because like before they had their emperor, right? And they had to basically help them solve that dilemma, right? And it wasn't like, hey, this is the right way to do it. It's more like, hey, your people are like legit suffering because you don't know what you're doing. It's one of those it was one of those. But again, the U.S. is really the only place. Japan is really the only place that's been hit by nuclear warfare. They know very well what it does, right? The backlash of just one of those, right? Like realistically, those places, like people live there now, like, and they still do. But like the pickup and the having to fix all that was just years. Like it was still going on. They said they still have remnants of like radiation in the air.
Yeah, after for 4 or 5 years after the blast.
Yeah.
Like in the initial blast, around 80,000 people died.
Yeah.
After that, twice as many people died just from the sickness.
From the radiation poisoning.
Yeah, from the sickness, from the disease, all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just the lasting effects.
Yeah, right. Like,
really
and they say that the
terrible.
problem that they've run into now is that the generations carry these defective genomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them are now more prone to cancer.
Yeah.
Right, which is probably one of the worst ways to go out because your body's slowly killing itself, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. So that's and they're still living with that, right? So this is the other issue. I mean, considering the fact that Japan has really fixed itself up, all things considered,
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't get one, they got two, right? So I mean, all things considered, it was but I don't know. I feel like some countries truly underestimate their ability, you know what I mean? North Korea, realistically, I mean, yeah, if China backs them or even Russia backs them, that's right? Mean, but the rest of the world too, right? Like if the rest of the world got involved over this issue, I mean, it's the world versus Russia, North Korea, and China.
Russia is basically just stepping away from this whole thing.
Yeah.
China
jumping in.
China is taking Russia's spot.
Yeah.
So North Korea is only surviving because of China right now.
Yeah, because they're still importing and exporting.
Yeah, that's basically China's only. That's why, because North Korea is basically a Chinese puppet now.
Yeah.
Because North Korea can't do anything on its own.
Yeah.
So even after all these nuclear tests, China is hitting back against North Korea.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to provoke the United States too much.
Yeah. Also like with like what is it, Trump like way back was it Fire and Fury? we're like, what are you doing? Why are you nagging him on? Like, what is your problem? You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those like moments like, why are you doing this? Like it was just like, oh my gosh, how did we get here? Like, what is it recently? He started like calling onto like news anchors and telling them how like fake news and stuff. I was like, what is he doing?
I mean, like a lot of the news, it's just same.
It's opinionated news now.
It's opinionated news, but it's mostly one-sided.
Yeah.
The mainstream news mostly one-sided, except obviously Fox News, probably more right. But everything else, all the major broadcasting corporations, they're all mostly leaning left.
Yeah.
Towards this, politically correct type of thing. So even the smallest provocative things will spur them on.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but like, I think the fact that because they're American, we're so close, it affects us too. Like, it's gotten to a point where like, what is it like? Did you hear what happened with that Chinese company Huawei?
Yeah.
How they got banned off, like, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, look, so they get banned off, right? And the ripple effect hits us here too. You know why? Because half of Canada's telecom infrastructure is made by Huawei. So it's like, wow, great guys, great. Now we just, so you know what Canada's rebuttal was? Yo, Nokia, where you at? So they signed a deal with Nokia. So now Nokia's gonna be the one to do it. So we're in transition mode all over again, which is great. But it pushed our hand as well, right? Because they kept saying how they were spying on us, how this and that, and it's like this crazy ripple effect, right? Like it's been interesting to see, to say the least.
Yeah. So you want to talk about anything more recent?
I don't know, man. Like right now, I'm just like, because those are the big ones, like I don't know. What do you have in mind?
Snapchat has been blowing up. This was about week ago, for about a month. So there's these two states in the United States, Alabama and Georgia. They have a new abortion bill which outlaws all and any abortions, and if you leave the state to get an abortion and then come back, you can still go to prison. So
okay, so what does this involve? Snapchat?
No, it's just I've seen it on Snapchat blow up, and on Instagram too. Yeah. So the thing is, if somebody wants to get their point across, they frame it as, like, they shove you don't disagree with me? Oh, then you must be this, you must be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Because, look, here's the thing. The whole, look, for starters, we're all guys,
Yeah.
We're not really in a position to be talking about abortion, right? Because, let me finish. Because we can't really give our opinion, right? Because none of us are ever going to give birth to a child to begin with, right? I mean,
but the thing is, people are so fixated on the 9 months.
Yes, I know. I know, but here's the thing, okay? So I mean, everyone has their opinion on it and whatever else, I kind of don't, I don't want to get involved. The least involved I am, the better. But it's more like I complete negligence at the end of the day.
I mean, there's a quote, I forgot where I got it from, but in this age of information, ignorance is a choice. For people in the developed world.
Again, I just said I'm choosing to be ignorant.
Yeah,
I literally just said that. Yeah. Like, dude, we can rewind the tape if you like.
Yeah,
but, like,
it's fine.
It's more like, it's cause like, okay, so the problem with, for example, these two states, clearly they have a very big religious background, right? Mm-hmm. They're very, Christian background, influence, and that helps create their laws. A lot of people don't know this, but Canada was based off the 10 Commandments from the Bible.
Well, the laws,
right? So, like, that's how we established our own laws, right? Right off that. Of course, we strayed to a point now where you can't even look the two and be like, I mean, don't kill. That's about it, really. Like that's really it. That's really it. That's really it. Like, I mean, that's all we got now. But like, that's how most laws came into place, right? So, to most people in the religious aspect, right? It's more of a, we can't kill people, right? And and then the argument goes that like, oh, they're not an actual person,
yeah,
or like, but whatever, right? But then they go, so then this law comes in, they're like, oh no, there's a heartbeat, it's a person.
Well, I think. Well, have you ever seen an inanimate objects that moves at all, that reacts to being, like, to having an attempt on its life? Like, there are videos where the fetus reacts to the abortionist trying to,
No, I haven't seen any stuff, but like,
I mean, it's not really a video.
Yeah, but yeah. So, are you basing your opinion here? Are you saying you're for it or you're against it?
I'd say the only reason you should have an abortion is if your life is in danger, of course. That's the only, and that falls into the category, mostly that's just because you're young, right?
Yeah.
But if you're above a certain age, 18, about that age, you should be able to have a baby.
Yeah, well, right? Like, great, yeah, but here's the thing. Like,
so in other words,
no, let me finish. Like, the biggest argument that has come up with this is the fact that, like, say someone gets raped and they end up pregnant, right? Do you want to carry the guy's, right? That's the argument that they give you. But then wait, it gets even deeper than that. And then they go, but it's my body. I can decide what I want with it, right? So like, here's the thing, right? I get that, but like, okay, and then there's the whole argument where like, say like, you have a girlfriend and she gets pregnant and she never tells you, she goes and has an abortion. Okay. At any point in the cycle, was the guy considered? I mean, like, realistically, this is an argument I've even brought up in school and class a lot. I'm like, okay, I get that. Like, her body, whatever, right? But it takes two to make a kid. Shouldn't the guy at least have a say? Like, I mean, I get it, all your life, the guy has had control over, but I mean, if the guy genuinely wants to be the father, I mean, 9 months, then you can move on. I mean, that's it, right? But like, the guy will take care of the kid, at the end of the day. I mean, and if he's truly responsible, he'll do that. But if he doesn't, I mean, there are these like things, and I was telling this to someone, and she's like, you're probably the only guy I've ever heard talk like this about it. I'm like, no, I feel like this is an opinion that's never put out there, like they never give, it's always the girl. It's like, it's my body. I can do what I want. I'm like, that's great. I get that. But like, what about the guy?
Yeah.
Doesn't he do this? And all these laws, and they're like, oh, he's a white man, but actually we had a teacher who was, I'm taking this mental health course. She was saying how, all the mental disorders are chosen by, are decided by old white man. And my reaction was, so the way everything else is decided? No, I was just trying to test the waters, and this guy, he's African. He's African American. He's like, what's up? And then she's like, yes. I'm like, but what are you getting at here? Like, that's the way everything else is decided. I mean, this is the world we live in. I mean, I don't get your counterpoint.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, our popular culture, well, it revolves around minorities. You don't see.
Oh, it's because for starters, we're in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, not the world. Yeah, well,
we
not
are
the world, of course.
We are, but we've coined the term multiculturalism. like heavily multicultural. Like, you know, like I'm like just throwing this out. I'm waiting for Eid to become a holiday so I can have a day off.
That's what I want too.
Oh, in the United States, you know how they have Columbus Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how all the First Nations people are all pissed off because, you know, Columbus killed other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you. I want my day off.
Yeah. That's but
They also rename it. Rename it. I don't care.
Look. Here's the thing. Okay, look. Here's the other issue that's come with that. Right, but people go, okay, okay. For starters, people go, this is a Christian country, right? Like most of the population here is Christian, or at one point in time, their family was associated with some type of or form of Christianity. That's great, right? That's the basis of the country anyway. That's their ideologies. That's great. But like that, and the argument is if they like, what is it? Like someone was saying how they had to take a sick day or something because of Eid. And I was like, so you take a sick day or you know, whatever. And they're like, but it shouldn't be like that. And I'm like, okay, like I get what you're saying here, but you can't change an entire country's ideologies over, like that's not how it works, you know?
Yeah.
Like it takes time, like with everything, right? Like I mean, like look at like there are certain things like for example, Canada before never let anybody in. Like before, immigrants weren't allowed into the country. Justin Trudeau's dad came in, Pierre Trudeau, and he's like, let in the people, you know, like that caused this huge ripple effect where we have like, you know, like now we have Hinduism, we have Islams, we have Buddhism in Canada, you know, like there's like all these different religions and variations of every religion. Like what is it, like there's like between like Muslims, there's like 5 different types of Muslims. I'm saying the fact that there's like hundreds of them already, and then like so right, and then it's like this whole like it's hard accommodating for everybody. Like there was this lady, you can't accommodate for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's super hard. Like, but I get it, and it's really funny because I was talking about this with someone I worked with at this place I was working at. She was telling me that she's this type of Christian. She's like, what is it, Roman Orthodox or Russian Orthodox? I can't remember.
No, Roman Orthodox.
I think it's Russian. And she was saying how their Christmas is in January. And I was like, your Christmas is in January? I had this whole moment of like, wait, so you're saying? She's like, yeah, my Christmas is a month after yours. She's like, and I have to book those days off for vacation. I'm like, okay, well, that seems like, you know, like, whoa, you know, like, you know, it's like, I don't know how to, you know, like we can't, you know, like if we were to take every religion and just give everybody a holiday, we probably wouldn't get any work done. Nothing would get done.
Every month there would be like at least like a week that's just having.
Yeah, like we never get anything done. Like I mean, like I get that. Like we're like, I mean, Canada is super accommodating. Like I mean like realistically, like compared to other countries, super accommodating when it comes to that sort of stuff, right? You're like, you know, like for Muslims, like almost every high school in Canada now has to have like a specific prayer room for the student.
Yeah,
like based on like wherever it is, right? And it's like I was talking. There's actually this teacher who was with you guys who teaches our school. He says that he just, even 20 years ago, he says we'd have morning prayer in a public school. Like think about that now. 20 years ago, there was a morning prayer. You know, like right, like that's how Christians were like 20 years ago, right? Like everybody was Christian. Like nobody even thought about it, right? And then all of a sudden, people like there's a Muslim kid in the class. Wait a minute. Do you even know how to pray? Like whoa. You know, it's like, and then like so then they had to stop doing that because, you know, there's just so much this influx of other kids from our place, right?
I mean, we shouldn't, because religion aside, 20%, just 20%.
Yeah.
That's 1/5 of Canada is an immigrant, like a first or second generation immigrant. I forgot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's second generation immigrant or first. Yeah, so I don't think we should overhaul this whole country for 20% of the population.
Yeah, right? Like it's really interesting, but like it's become this like ongoing argument, right? Like
yeah, exactly. More minorities. See, when I hear the term multiculturalism, it means less white people.
Yeah. Well, like okay, but like I mean,
that's the only way I've seen it implemented.
Okay, but like I mean, like there are people. Why are you laughing?
Because I just saw how long we've been going at it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah.
Hey, Victor hasn't said anything.
Yeah, he's
for a while. Because you guys just kind of, and you guys were like, oh wait, and I'm just like, okay.
Okay, you know what?
Do you want to go back?
We should probably wrap up, actually.
Yeah, we should probably wrap up. Okay. So this has been Two Latin Brothers Podcast. Go subscribe on Spotify. You can also leave down comments on anywhere you can leave comments.
Wherever you can leave comments.
Wherever you can leave comments. You can send us an email. You can follow us on Instagram. Everything's always in the description and below. Yeah.
Would you like to tag yourself?
Plug yourself.
yeah, Youssef, I'll have an Instagram. It should be in the description.
Yeah.
That's all. It was nice being on this podcast.
If you want to follow Youssef or whatever, do so. I don't know.
Want to ask him some questions about politics? Have a debate on something?
Yeah, I'm open for debate.
We'll throw a poll on it.
Yeah.
Kidding. Okay. Yeah. That's it. This has got really political.
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
At first, he was just like, "We're not gonna get into that."
Yeah.
And then we just got into
also
it.
sorry. This is a longer episode than usual.
Yeah.
We really got into it.
Yeah.
I'm trimming it down as much as I physically can, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.